Okay, so I'm sharing my screen, guys. Please let me know if you have any issues in during the sharing. Okay. Yeah. So let's get started. So what is prime number? Can someone tell me what is prime number? Value which is divisible by 1 itself. Okay. So let us consider. Is 1 a prime? 1 itself. 2 a prime. 3 a prime. 4 it is divisible by 1 and 2 and 3. Right? It's not a prime. Okay. Then after you can take 5. 5 is divisible by 1 itself. That's nothing but if it is divisible by 1 itself, then it is called a prime number. Okay. 1 5s are 5 and 5, like 1 5s are, that's nothing but C. Let us consider an example. So when you take 4, 4 divided by 2, what is the value that we would get? Yeah, by 2 divided by, 4 divided by 2, right? So, 2, yeah, 4. That's nothing but you get the 4 value. Okay. So you get the 4 value. And it leaves the remainder 0. Okay. So now you consider the value. So for example, if you have 2, that's nothing but 1 and 2. You get the remainder 0. When you consider 5, 5 to the 4. You get the remainder 1. Okay. So that's nothing but again when you try to divide 5. Okay. What it says is like 5 is a 5. So you get the remainder 0. That's the thing, but it is divisible by 1 and itself. 1 and itself. So that is called a prime number. Okay. So for this, we are going to frame the logic and we are going to use the simple logic that is nothing but we'll use the modulus. So this modulus, it's going to check whether the number, any number given is divisible by the number. Okay. Apart from the 1 and itself. Okay. If it is divisible by any other number, then that is not a prime. If it is divisible only by 1 and itself, then that is a prime number. Okay. So for this, we are going to use a logic that's nothing but modulus, just to check that the remainder is not 0. Okay. The remainder is not 0. If it is 0, then we are going to have the count used. That count will be incremented. Okay. So for this, I'm going to take a number. So I'm going to check this number, whether this number is a prime or not. Okay. So let me take a 7. And after that, I want to count. I'll take count later. Otherwise, now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to take a value 1 and itself. 1 is divisible. Anyways, like 1 is a prime number. Okay. So we cannot consider 1 and itself. 1 and itself in the sense, if I try to divide this number with 1 and itself, is like 1 and 7. 1 and 7. It is divisible by this number. So we need to ignore them. So I'm going to take I is equals to 2. Okay. To check the prime number from 2. So then I is less than number. Okay. So here what we are trying to do is like we are ignoring 1 and 7. You can see. Okay. So once it comes 6 here, 6 is less than 7. Okay, fine. But 7 is not less than 7. Okay. So which values are ignored? 1 and 7. Okay. 1 and itself is nothing but the 7. Okay. So now we are checking here. The condition is like any number that we are taking. Okay. Modulus of I leaves 0. Then that is a, like if it is leaving 0, that's nothing but here we checked it, right? That is not a prime. Okay. So this is not a prime. For example, if you take 2, if some number is divisible by 2, okay, 2 to the, we have a 4. So this is nothing but it gives a remainder 0. So this is not a prime. Okay, this is not a prime. So likewise, what it does is like first it will take 2 value. Okay, the number, what is number 7? 7 divisible by 2. That's 7 modulus 2. Whether it is leaving 0? No. It leaves some 1. It will increment the value 3. 3 7 divisible by 3. And 7 divisible by 4. 7 divisible by 5. 7 divisible by 6. Likewise, it will go and check. If anything leaves 0, then it's not a prime. So for this, what we are going to do is like we are just taking a count, so that we'll take the count as 0 and we'll count it like how many number of number of iterations that it is doing, and how many number of values that is that's making that when we divisible by that particular number and it leaves 0, those many number of things that we are going to count here. Okay, that's the thing, but we are going to count number of times that it's getting divisible by that particular number. Okay, so if this count is like incremented, then we can just go and check here if count is equals to 0 or count not equals to 0, anything that is like up to us, like which logic that we want to use. Then this is if it is not equals to 0, that's nothing but what it is doing now, count is getting incremented.
Not a prime.
Yes, whether it is a prime or not, that we can check it. Otherwise, you can simply take count is equals to 0, then this is prime. Okay, count is not getting incremented, then this is called a prime number. Let me just write a simple statement here. I'll add num plus, just for the print purpose, I'm just using this. Okay, else we have to write one other logic, right? So if count is getting incremented, then this is not a prime number. Let's go and execute this program. 7 is prime. Okay, likewise you can give 6, not a prime, because when 6 is divisible by 2, then it's leaving remainder 0. Divisible by 3, then it is leaving remainder 0. The count is getting incremented. Okay, so if count is not equal, only we are checking is like count is equals to 0. Count is not equal to 0, then it will go and say that that's not a prime number. Okay, so let's go and execute this program again. Okay, I'll just change the value here. I'm going to give 19 is prime number. Okay, so now my question is like I want to print the prime numbers between 1 to 100. So how can I do it? I'll just try to copy paste the same program here. I'll just dragging it down to that particular project or package. Okay, 1 to 100. Okay, so just I'm printing this file. Now what I need to do is like I want to print the values between 1 to 100. I want to see how many number of values that we have a prime numbers. Okay, so how can I do the logic? How can I do it now? So instead of taking number, we have to take the iterations. That is nothing but we can take the for loop. Okay, so simple thing is like int j is equals to 1, j is less than or equals to 100, j plus plus. Here instead of number, we are just taking j. Okay, here also j. Okay, now what we need to do is like this count should be used within this first for loop. Okay, within this first for loop. Otherwise, what happens is like every time we do this set of count increments, right? So if we are doing it for the 2, for example, 2 is like it's a prime number, 3, okay, prime number, 4. Now when we check this 4 number, what happens is like its count will be incremented. When I go and check for the 5, it count will be still incrementing. Likewise, it will keep on incrementing. So once we are done with first iteration, then we are making this count as like 0. Again, we are reassigning those values. Okay, so again, I'm going to reassign this count is equal to 0, so that for the next round of iterations, it will change its value. That's nothing but whenever we are done with this set of iterations, we have to make this count is equal to 0. For example, if we take 4, 4 is divisible by 2, 0. Count will be incremented to 1. Okay. So now we are done with this iteration. What is the count value if I don't define this count is equal to 0? It will be 1 or 2. Okay. Again, when we go here, I'll show you what happens. Okay. So let's put this count outside. This is J, this is J. And I go and try to increment. See all primes. It will say not prime, not a prime, not a prime, or prime, prime. So this is like, what is happening now? Not a prime. So you can see 11 is a prime, right? 11 is a prime, 13 is a prime, 17 is a prime, 19 is a prime. But what it is showing, it's not a prime because the count value is incremented after 3. Now you see 4 is like, it is not a prime. So after that count value will be like, 1, 2, 3, 4 or something, something would be there. So that is the reason why it is showing these all are not a prime. So what we have to do is like after first iteration is done, we have to make that count is equal to 0 so that it will start from the, like, it will take it as like a fresh value again. So when we are done with iteration, so this for this next round of iterations, it will be taking this count is equal to 0. Now you can see all the values it's going to print. So in between, you can see there are a lot of not a primes and there are primes. Okay, 5 is a prime, 7 is a prime, and 11 is a prime, 13 is a prime, 17 is a prime, because these are divisible by 1 itself. Okay, so got the logic, guys? Only the simple logic is like this is the only logic that we are applying. Just we are checking this number, we are taking this number and we are trying to divide by this number and see that if it is leaving 0, then it is like it's not a prime. Okay, but we have to ignore two things. One is like 1 and itself. That's the number and the 1. We are trying to divide that number by itself and 1 should be avoided. So that is the thing that we have to ignore. And rest of the logic is like, it is very simple logic. Okay. So to find out whether that is a prime number or not. Okay. Only I want to print the prime numbers now. What I can do is like, I can just print them. Okay. Else statement I'm just removing. Only I want to print the prime numbers. I can see these are all the prime numbers. 19, 23, 29, 31. Now you can try to check it. This will not leave remainder 0 when you are divided with the numbers that we have, like any of the odd numbers or even numbers you are trying to do. Okay, so it will not leave 0. So that is the reason why these are all prime numbers. Okay, are you clear with this, guys? So please try to practice. This is very easy program. Only thing is like, this is all the logic that we have written. This is the only logic that we have written here to find out. And these are the iterations that we are trying to do. This is the number that we are trying to check the prime number. And these are the numbers that are getting used for divide this given number. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it will start from 2 and it will try to divide that number. Okay, so you can see all those prime numbers will be listed down. Have any doubts?
Can you please tell once again about the count that you have taken? 8 count.
See, count is like, see, if I don't reassign this value will be keep on counting this. Like, it will keep on counting the value that we have. First, for example, we have taken 4, for example. Okay, so 4, the count would be 1. Okay, if I don't reassign this value here, the count is equals to 0. Then what happens is like, it will keep on counting for the rest of the values. Okay, so it could be 1 or sometimes for the 6 it will become 2. For 7 it will be 2. Then 8 for 8 it will be 3. So likewise it will keep on incrementing its count. So that is the reason why it will not check for this prime number. So okay, so this logic will be invalid in that case. So for that reason, what we are doing is like, when we are done with the first round of iteration, we are taking up the second iteration. In that second iteration, before going into the second iteration, like in a second for loop. Okay, I'm talking about like second for loop. Sorry, not the iteration, but the second for loop. When we are going by the second for loop, we need to reassign this value so that we can freshly count the number of times this particular value is getting divisible by this value, and it's leaving the remainder 0. Okay, so if you don't assign this value, reassign this value, then what happens is like, it will keep on counting the existing value itself. Okay, so you can just do a small thing, like you can just use this count here. Okay, this will happen only if we have this case passed. Otherwise, it will not print the value. Now, what I'm going to do is like, I'll just remove this and I try to this count. Now you see what is the count that we are going to get. something 347. So what is happening here? So first for 2 it is 0, count 0, 3, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, 5, 2, 3. Okay, 3, 3. So that's nothing but it is showing this is like invalid one. Okay, so it is like it is divisible by 1, it is divisible by 2, and it is divisible by 4. So this is not a prime. That is fine. But what happens to the count here? Count is 1, right? So now it is getting incremented. It will become 2. But it should, if we make this one as like 0, then here it will not anything, it will not leave the remainder 0. So it will be 0. Okay. So that is the reason why. So we have to make this count as like 0. Okay. So I'm going to remove this. Now you can see a different set of counts here. Are you able to see this now? See, 0, 3, 3. We got 1 count. So that's nothing but for the 4, it is like it is leaving 1, 1. Now it is like for the 5, you can see 0, 0. Okay. 6, it is like it's leaving 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay. So after that, again for the 7, it is leaving 7, 0. So that's nothing but it is not leaving the remainder 1 or 2. Or, that's nothing but it's not count is not getting count is not getting incremented. And it's leaving remainder 0. That's the reason why it is 0. Count is becoming 0. Okay. For 11 also you can see the same thing. But this should be little confusing, but the internal logic is like you have to make this one as like count is equals to 0 after this second for loop is executed. When we go with the next for loop and getting the incremented value, we have to make this count as equals to 0. Okay.
Oh, okay, Shikhar.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's move on to the next one. Probably, guys, I'm going to take a short class today. I need to rush for a meeting. Yeah. The next one is like we are going to discuss about the factorial problem. Okay? Factorial. What is factorial?
If we have to count for the 3 factorial, 3 into 2 into 1.
Yes. If I say 5 factorial, then what would be the value of this? 5 into 4 into
3 into 2,
3
2
into
into 1.
2 into 1. So it leaves the remainder, it leaves the value as like 120. You can see 5 4s are 20, 23s are. What is it? 5 4? Is it 120 or something? Now you can see 2 into 3, 6, 6 4s are. These are 6 4s are 24. 24 into 5 to 120. Okay. So we'll see how do we frame the logic here. Okay. This is very easy. See, how do we take the variables now? We should have some variables, and one is like we have the variable, like how many number of times that iteration should happen, and the other one is like we want to store that value. But here in this case is like it is very simple. We'll take one variable and we want to like have the 5 factorial. Okay. Now you tell me the logic. I want to iterate for 5 times now. That's nothing but the value should be iterated for the 5 times. What I can do now? From where I need to start for the factorial? I have 2 ways here. Guys. One is like you take the int equals to 1, I is less than or equal to factorial number. That's nothing but 5, right? I plus plus. Now what do you do? So there is shortcut for this, right? Fact. This is simple, right? Fact is equal to fact into I. These are the correct? Or what is that value that we have to print here? So we take another variable. See, you have to think about it, guys. Okay, this is a variable that I have a value. If I take 5 into I is equal to, it will be like 5 into 1. Again, it will be like, 5 into 2. Again, it will be like 5 into 3. So for this reason, what we can do is like, we can take another variable. I want to store this one into a result. Okay, I'm just confusing you guys. Okay, so that you can give the proper answer for me. Okay, proper answer to me. So the thing is like, if you try to do programming like this, you can easily understand. Okay, but don't jump onto the solution directly. Try to do some set of actions here. Like you can go wrong for the first time and no worries at all, but you have to practice that. Okay, so logical thinking, you have to build up the logical thinking. See, we have a problem here and problem statement is given. So this is the problem statement that I have to do the 5 factorial. So if I have some factorial, so for this what I have to do is like, I need to take the variable. Okay, 5 is defined. Now where do I store this value? I need to have one other variable, right? So I can store this. I will do some set of actions like I need to get this value. So for this, what I need to do is like introduce the for loop. This for loop will be checking this I is equals to 1. So number of iterations, we have defined number of iterations, right? So that is the reason why we are using the for loop. As I told you yesterday, like while loop is like, we don't have any defined set of iterations there. So if it is true, it will execute. Otherwise, it will come out of the loop. But for loop is not like that. It will check for the condition and we have a defined number of iterations there. Okay. First, we'll initialize some value I is equals to 1 and I is less than or equal to 10. That's nothing but we are checking everything in a single statement, and that is nothing but we have number of iterations defined over there. Okay. So here you can see that if this condition is false, that's nothing but we have 5 iterations that we have to complete. And in between, if this is like something is failing, something is not matching the condition or failing the condition, then it will come out of that loop. Okay. Now what we do is like initial value of result. Let us take, I'm going to assign it as like a 1. And then here during these iterations, so this all things will be done at the initial level. That's nothing but here I'm going to assign result is equals to 1. Then result is equals to result into I value. What is the I value that I'm getting? First time I'll get 1. That is not 1 into 1. The output will be 1. And then after next is like 1 into 2. I'll get the 2. Then what is the I value here? 3 into 3. I'll get 6. Okay, result is like 6 and I value will be like 4 equals to 24. Now result is equals to 24, I value is equals to 5, then I'll get the output as like 120. Okay, so what is that value that we are multiplying and storing the same value into the result. Okay, this result will carry this values here. Okay, whatever value that we have multiplied, that will be carried. And again, what happens is like, it will be like, here it will become 2 into the value which is getting incremented, right? 2 into 3. Again, 6 into 4. Likewise, it will keep on continuing the iteration. Okay. So let's go and assign this value as like 1. Now I'm going to, so first you need to understand problem statement, guys. Okay. So first you need to understand the problem statement. So once you understand it, it's all up to you that how many number of variables that you want to use and what is that logic that you want to apply. 120 is the result. Okay. You can say factorial of the fact is the result. Okay. So you got this right. Factorial of 5 is this much. If you take 10, so it will be length value. This is the factorial. 5 like in 120 into 6. Then after we get some value, again with that value into 7, into 8, into 9, into 10. Likewise, it will keep on multiplying the values. So this is factorial. Okay. Are you clear with this, guys?
Shrikant, you have written in the print ln that factorial of plus fact plus fact.
Yeah, this I'll explain a little later. So this is like a string and this is the value. If you want to append some value, like, whatever value we are taking as like integer, So we need to use the plus symbol here. So this plus symbol is like it's going to take the actual value of it. Then it's like we have to append something to the string. So we'll discuss about these things during the strings actually. Okay. So if you want to append something to the string, we have to use the plus symbol. Okay, plus symbol, or we can use the other ways also. I'll tell you how do we do it.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
for now you just focus on this like what we are trying to print it. Okay, so we have another things like how do we format the string and how do we put this value as like in an integer or root or double or okay. So any other values that you want to print. Okay, so here what I'm trying to do is like just I'm using some set of statements so that it will be easy to understand in the console. When we are printing it, we'll easily understand it. Okay? Factorial of 10 is this value, whatever result we are getting. Okay. So don't worry, guys. I'll explain everything. But for now, just remember this is the statement that we are trying to print for showing up to the user. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So what is if Fibonacci series? This is quite simple, guys. So, for example, I want to find out the Fibonacci series of some number. Okay, number is equals to some 5. Okay, so it's like we have what is the Fibonacci series of 5 is like. First, initially, 1 will be like we have two values here. Okay, 1 1. So the first value will be added to the following value. Otherwise, we can say that the value whichever we have current value will be added to the previous value. Okay, current value will be added to the previous value. So what is the value of 1 plus 1? We get 2. Okay, so what is the next value of 2? What is the next value? 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the current value is getting added to the previous value. We got the output as like 2. Okay. So now we have like, this becomes previous value. This becomes current value, right? So 1 plus 2, it will produce the output 3. Okay. Now current value will be added to the previous value. What is the output of it? 2 plus 3?
5.
5. Okay. What is the previous value and what is the current value here? 3 plus
5, 8.
8. See, after this, what is the previous value and what is current value here? 2 plus 5. 5 plus 8? 13. What is the previous value of this one? 8 plus 13?
21.
21. So like this, we'll try to print the value. That's something, but the previous value will be added to the current value and it will get the output as like again, we are going to get the one output that we are going to consider as like a current value and we'll take this one as like a previous value. Okay. So it's kind of like a zigzag mode, I think. So first, it will add these two values and then this value will be added to this and this value will be added like this, it will be adding the values. Okay. So these two values will be added and these two values will be added and it will produce the output. And after that, these two values will be added and it will produce the output 8. So these two values will be added and this will produce the output as like 21. So likewise, it will keep on adding the values continuously until the condition is false. Okay. Until the loop is until the condition is false and come out of this loop. Okay. So for this, what we are going to take that what we are going to do is like we are going to take variables. Number of variables required is like first we have to store two values, right? So for this, what I'm going to do is like I'll take f1 is equals to 1 and f2 is equals to 2. Okay. So now what we have to do for getting the f3, we have to add the two values, right? f2 plus
F1.
done. That's it. So this is the thing, but you have to iterate the loop. Okay. So this should be 1. Sorry. I'll write it again. So f1 is equals to 1 and f2 is equals to 1 and f3 will be like Addition of two values. That's it, right? So we have to iterate this one in a loop. The number of times that you want to print the value. Okay, so we'll go and write the program. This is very simple program for us. So that's what we have to first understand the problem statement. Okay, so once we understand the problem statement, then it will be easy for us to write the program. What is that variable that I'm going to take is like int f1 is equals to 1, f2, f2 is equals to 1, and f3, I'm not going to assign any value because we are going to add them. So here take int I is equals to, what is that value that we want to start with? Already we have two values, 1, 1, okay? So we'll start with 2. Because we have two values, right? So here, we'll be starting with the iteration 2. Okay? So I is less than or equal to the number of values that you want to add. Okay, so let us take, I want to add 10 values. Okay, that's nothing but 10 number of iterations. That's nothing but here we did some iterations, right? So I'll go back here. See how many iterations are there: first iteration, second iteration, third iteration, fourth iteration. Okay, likewise you can put the iterations here. So I'm going to give some iterations. Let us take 5 iterations to make it little simple. I plus plus. Now tell me the logic what we have to write inside this for loop. What is that logic I have to do now?
F1 plus F2 first.
Okay, first we have to do like F3 is equals to F1 plus
F2.
F2. Now we can print the value of F3. Okay, now tell me. Now we have to exchange the values, right? Previous values and the current values are getting added here. But we have to exchange the values, like swap the values here. Now F1 should become F2 and F2 will be given as part of that's nothing but we are going to exchange the values here. F1 will be F2 and F2 will be F3. That is nothing but this will become the previous value to this one. And this will become the, this 2 will become the previous value to 3. And 5 becomes the previous value to 8. Okay. Likewise, we have to exchange the values now. That's nothing but we have to swap the values. So what happens here is like F1 will become F2 and F2 will become F3. Okay. That's it. So let us go and try to print the values here. So what is that? 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 8. Okay. So you want to print the values of 1 and 2, right? I'm going to print it outside. Because we have those values already defined here. Let me just print them. So you can see the series here. Okay, 1, 1. That is nothing but 1 plus 1, 2. Okay, 1 plus 2, 3. 2 plus 3, 5. 3 plus 5, 8. Okay, likewise, it's going to exchange the values. So simply you are going to exchange your values, like you got this F3, you got this value, that's nothing but 2. After this, you are printing here. And now you are going to exchange the values from F1 will become F2 and F2 will become F3. So again, this values will be iterated. Now this value will be like, what is that F1 we have here? F1, we have 1 and F2, we have 2. That's nothing but it will produce 3. 3 will be printed here. Again, this will become F1, this will become F2. It will be added and it's going to produce the output as like this will become F1 and this will become F2. And this will get this way, we are going to get the 8 values like F3. Okay. So if you want to increment, you can increment it and you can check the values also. Okay. So here I want to print it on a single line. Otherwise, you can make it simple for the display purpose. I'm just adding this. Now you can see the series. Okay. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. And rest of the values. It is all up to us like how many number of iterations that you want to put, you can put the iterations and it will keep on exchanging the values and it will print them. Okay. Are you clear with this, guys?
Yes, Shrikant.
So first thing is like open any notepad or take pen and pencil or something and take the paper and try to frame the logic. Okay. Don't try to write it down on the, like, don't go with this approach. Like directly don't write the program. So what happens is like you will see there are things like if you are perfect with that, you can directly go and write the program. Otherwise, make sure that just go and try to frame the pseudocode. That's the thing, but the algorithm, kind of algorithm, so that we can understand, okay, what are the variables that we are going to use and all. So that is what, how it will, how you can build the logical thinking, okay. So now we are going to take swapping numbers. There are two things that we have to consider when we are swapping the values. One is like we use the temp variable, another is like without using the temp variable. Okay. So here I'm going to write a separate method for both of them. Okay. Swap numbers using temp. Okay. So it is quite easy if I have some A equal to 10 and B is equals to 20. So I want to show the output of A and B. Okay. So here I'm going to write before for swapping. Okay. After swapping is like I just want to put this value A into this and A is equals to B and B is equals to temp. Okay, so I did not declare temp here. I'm going to declare temp variable here. Yes, after this program, I'm just going to stop it and we'll continue to do it tomorrow. Okay, so here now you can see I'm just going to create object for this class. I'll say swap is equals to dot class dot new instance of. Okay, so don't, I'm creating object in a different way. Okay, we'll discuss about these things little later. I'll explain how do we. So these are other interview questions, guys. Okay, so can we create object without using constructor and all? Okay, so I'll show you swap dot swap temp. Now you go and execute. You can see that after exchange, before swapping and after swapping. See, before swapping, what is the value of A? So I want to show. I'll show that. A is so A is 10, B is 20, A is 20 and B is 10. Okay. So now tell me if I want to do without using the third variable. Okay, generally this is another interview question, guys. Okay, do remember this is another interview question that we are going to discuss. Without using any temp value. Okay, swap numbers without using temp value. So how do I do it now? I'll take the same values. Everything is same. Only I'm going to change the logic. Here is like I'm not using temp value. So what can I do? What can I do to get the values like A is equals to 20 and B is equals to 10? Right, A is equals to A plus B. So what is the value that I'm going to get here? Come on, B, quick guys, okay? So 30.
30.
I want to get B value is equals to 10. What I have to do now? B is equals to, what is the value?
B minus A.
A minus B. Is that correct? What is the value of A now? 30.
10,
30,
30 minus, what is the B value?
20.
20,
Sorry, 10.
What is the output now? I'm going to get 10.
10.
Now tell me the A value. How can we get the A value? A is equals to. Now think about the values that we have. A is equals to A is like still it is 30.
30.
Okay. 30 minus what is the value that I have to remove now?
B. Sorry.
The same thing, right? A minus B. What is the value of A now?
30.
30. What is the B value?
10.
10.
What we get the output now?
20.
20.
Let's go and execute this program and see. Got it. You're pros in programming now. So that's it. Just the thing is like you have to think about it. How do we exactly use this? Logics and all. You get the value here. Before swapping, A is equals to 10 and B is equals to 20. Okay, let's go and check for the values that we are going to increment. Okay, I'll put it as like some other values. Now I'm going to go and execute them. So is that the same that we are getting?
Yes.
Put something more. Try to check it now. We're getting the same values, right? So I'm just taking simple values so that we can understand when we are doing this set of actions. Okay. That's it. This is like, you are going to get this set of questions in the interviews. They are going to ask like, swap the two values without using third variable. So this is how we'll be applying the logic. Okay. So both the things we have executed. One is like, this is like using the temp variable and this is without using temp variable. Okay. So guys, we have discussed prime numbers.
You can use third variable as a temp only or any other else.
Yeah, you can write anything. You see, temp is like you'd be defined like, if you want to store something as like temporary, what we say like temporary variable.
Mm-hmm.
You can create whatever you want. You want to create it as like store, whatever variable name you can define. This is only the name.
Okay.
Okay. Instead of A, you can take whatever I, J or something. Okay. So internally, what happens is like it's kind of like a reference. So here we have a storage memory. This all values, whatever we are defining as a variables, right? So these variables will be there here in this. Like for example, if you are defining temp. Now, when we create the object, what happens for this? So it's going to refer, it's going to store some, give some space. That's nothing but this value. So it's going to refer this values. Okay, whatever you are going to perform this operation, based on that operation, this value. This is like a stack, and this is like a kind of this is like a referencing the values. Okay, so it's like address that we have. So this value has the address, and this value is pointing to some value which is there in the heap. Okay. So these are the storages. So it will be pointing to this value, whatever it will be. Like it can be Srikanth is equals to 10. Whatever you want to create, you can create. Okay. It's not, you can give the value name anything. Okay. So, sorry, variable name anything here. So it can be anything. But you have to use them here properly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So temp also, it's kind of like temporary. We are going to store it, right? So you can give it as like C value. So you can say C. Okay. So it will give the result output. Okay. Are you clear with these guys?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So guys, we'll meet tomorrow. Also at the same time, like 7:15. So this like tomorrow is the like only day that I have some meetings today and tomorrow, and probably will continue the same 8:30 times Thursday. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. Let's meet tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.